to today's video. And in today's video, I'll be doing an undoubtedly early 2024 Senate prediction. This is insanely early. It's the 2022 midterms haven't even passed, so we don't even know what the Senate makeup will look like. My current prediction is what I'll be basing it off of. In my current prediction, the same results stand at 50-50 majority for the Democrats. However, the Democrats flip Pennsylvania and the Republicans flip New Hampshire. So that's what I'm currently basing this off of. So as we get started with the Democrats' safe states, I'm going to say Washington, California, New Mexico. I'll explain that in a minute. Minnesota, I'll explain that as well. Maybe Pennsylvania, it's debatable. So I'm going to not label it. Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, New York, I'll also explain. Virginia, Hawaii, and, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. So if we go look at, by the way, the Democrats need 23 seats to win, and the Republicans need 10. So as we go look at, I believe this is 2018. If we go look at, for example, New Mexico. Yes, this was a blue wave year, but Martin Heinrich still won by slightly under 24%. And I've done the math because I was looking at another Senate race, which I'll explain later. But essentially, the blue wave shifted it 3.4% to the left of the national level. So it's 3.4% to the left of where it was before. Now, we do have to remember Gary Johnson was running, and he performed very, very well. He got 15.4% of the vote. Even if we give that to Mick Rich, he still loses by about 9%, so slightly worse than Joe Biden, but or slightly worse than what Donald Trump lost by in New Mexico. But I also don't necessarily know that all of Gary Johnson's votes would go Republican. I think that a lot of libertarians do like him, and a lot of people did vote for him. But I think that Heinrich could still win some of those votes. Next up, Virginia. Another similar thing. Tim Kaine won by, I believe, and it was like 20-something percent. We go look at this, or excuse me, 16%. I don't know where that came from. 20-something. But we look at this. I mean, like, it was a blue wave year, but this was also 2018. It'll be 6 years later after the state's going to continue to shift to the left, and I think that will ultimately give him a safe margin. And then the next state, this is not crazy. Minnesota, Amy Klobuchar is very, very popular here. I mean, like, look at how much she won. She did phenomenally up here in the north. She also did very well in western Minnesota. She did phenomenally there as well. She did pretty well, or she did very well actually all around Minneapolis and Hennepin County. In fact, she won Lake County by like 20-something percent. So she did, I believe, 22.7%. So she did very, very well. She's just a very popular incumbent, so I'm going to give that to her. Now for the Republican safe states, Utah, Wyoming, North Dakota, Nebraska, I'll explain North Dakota in a minute. Mississippi, that could also be debatable. Tennessee, and that's it. So we go look at some of these states. First off, North Dakota, Kevin Cramer beat an incumbent in a blue wave year by 11%. I think that when it's not 2018, and Heidi Heitkamp is not the incumbent, I mean, there are talks about her, like, I've heard, or she's not going to run, she's not running. But, even if she were to run, Kramer would still probably win by 13 or 14%. So I still don't think it would be likely. Next up, Mississippi, I mean, like, this was, I was thinking the special race. The regular race won't go anywhere. I mean, like, the special election with Cindy Hyde-Smith, it could have been competitive, but we're not even going to see another special election unless something happens. In which case, Cindy Hyde-Smith won't be the candidate unless she, like, resigns or something. She won't be the candidate because she resigned. Unless, I don't even think that you can appoint a resigned senator. That's it. Could maybe talk about Utah. It's not going to be competitive. Mitt Romney is insanely competitive, what am I saying? Insanely popular. And in Nebraska, same thing. Deb Fischer is not going to lose. I'm actually interested to look at how Marsha Blackburn did. That's interesting. She didn't win by terribly large margins. I also don't think that would be too competitive. Now, the Republicans are currently 5 seats away from winning. Democrats are 10 seats away. So let's go label all the likely states. Nevada, I'll explain that. Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Oh, I forgot to label Vermont and Maine. Angus King and Bernie Sanders are going with safe margins. They caucus as Democrats, so they could be labeled Democrats. They essentially go to the Democrats. And yeah, those are all the Democratic likely states. So as we go look at these, Nevada, Jackie Rosen won by like 5%. So she is the incumbent, and this was a blue wave year. So those two could cancel each other out. We could see it be like a high lean, but I mean, like, I just don't think so. She won Washoe County by not insanely large margins, and then she won, obviously, Clark County by pretty large margins. So I think that she'd probably be able to hang on to a likely margin there. Go look at Wisconsin. Tammy Baldwin is a phenomenal candidate. She won here by 10.8%, I believe. She's not going to do any worse. She did very, very well with the white working class. Once again, Tammy Baldwin is a very, very good candidate. And I think that she's not going to be able to lose, or she's not going to lose, obviously, but she's going to do very well. Over here in Michigan, against John James, Debbie Stabenow still managed to win. John James is a fairly strong candidate, or actually a very strong candidate. So Debbie Stabenow did very well against him. She won by 6.5%. I do think that she could, if Kamala Harris is on the ticket, it could be bad, especially if Joe Biden or Donald Trump is on the ticket. If it's like Harris versus Trump, it would be probably more competitive, but it would still probably be like a 4.5% state for her. And then Pennsylvania, Bob Casey is pretty popular. I mean, like, he won by 13.1%. He's probably going to win by more like 11%. But he's still a pretty strong candidate in Pennsylvania. Now, for the Republicans, likely states, Missouri, Indiana, and that is it. So, I mean, like, if we look at these two states, Josh Hawley flipped. Actually, they were both flips. Josh Hawley flipped it from Claire McCaskill by, I think, lean margins, actually. But, barely likely margins. But, he's probably not going to do horribly. I mean, like, he is, not incredibly popular after going, like, full Trumpist. But, in Missouri, he'll still probably do well enough, and he'll probably win it by, at worst for him, 7%. Actually, at worst for him, he gets involved in a scandal. Claire McCaskill runs, and she beats him, but that's unlikely. Or someone else. I don't remember who it is, but they have, like, one statewide elected Democrat. So if they run, it could be competitive. But looking at this, I think that's probably, like, the worst case for him, but anything that's likely, I mean, it's not necessarily unlikely, but, like, if it were to happen today, worst case for him is he loses by 6 or 7%. And then in Indiana, I mean, like, this was pretty close. Joe Donnelly was the incumbent, but the Indiana Democratic Party seems to run fairly strong candidates. So I think it'll probably be likely just because of that. Even if Joe Donnelly runs, he won't win. But they seem to run fairly decent candidates. They're not, for a party in a red state, they aren't incompetent. They're actually they're a strong Democratic Party. I would say that if they were the Democratic Party in, like, Florida or something, if the Democratic Party in Florida were as strong as they were, Florida wouldn't be as red as it is. And then, for the Democrats' lean states, I'm going to say Arizona, Montana, I forgot Ohio is a likely state, and that is it. If we go look at this, Arizona, Kirsten Sinema, I don't think will win by likely margins. I think she'll win by lean margins. She won by 2.4%. And she is fairly popular because she's a moderate, but I don't think she'll be able to do well enough among progressives. If Martha McSally is the candidate, if she ran in 2018, runs in 2020, it'd be kind of hilarious if she were to run in 2022 and then run in 2024 and lose every time. That would just be kind of funny if she just ran over and over. It's highly unlikely, though. I doubt that the Arizona GOP would run her again. Even though they seem to like Trumpists, she would probably still lose. So looking at this, I mean, like, she'd do well enough in Maricopa County to do pretty well. She might not do as well in Phoenix, but I think she'd be decent. But I just don't see her doing as well as Mark Kelly, because she's probably too moderate, for a lot of Democrats' liking. In Montana, John Tester, I mean, like, he won by 3.5%. He's not going to lose here. He's fairly moderate, and he's moderate enough. And I mean, like, he's not an awful candidate. He's decent. He's actually fairly strong. him voting against a $15 minimum wage might not have been the best. I think he voted against it. That might not have been the best idea, but it's not horrible. Like, he's not gonna like suffer tremendously for it. Like, if Sherrod Brown had done that, he may be screwed. But John Tester doing it is not going to really affect him negatively. And back to Ohio with Sherrod Brown. We go look at 2018. Sherrod Brown, I mean, like, he won his seat by, I believe, 8.8%. So, he did fairly well. He did similar to Obama in Ohio. I mean, like, we go look at how Obama did. We look at a lot of these counties, and we go look at how Sherrod Brown did. He did very similarly to Obama. He actually won Lake County, which I believe Obama lost. Yeah, Obama lost Lake County. So he did pretty strong. He did pretty well there. He's a fairly strong candidate. Or he's a very strong candidate for the state. He's progressive, and he does very well because of his economic progressive policies. So I'm just gonna say he's probably gonna win it likely. Similar margins to 2018, maybe a little worse, but at worst like 6 or 7%. For the Republicans' lean states, West Virginia and Florida. Now, we go look at West Virginia. Joe Manchin's gonna lose his seat. He won. Like, look at all these counties that he won in the state. This is a state that Trump carried literally every county in. He carried every county in the state again before. I'm trying to find it. I have a bunch of New York Times tabs. In 2016, and then Obama also lost every county in the state in 2016. Joe Manchin, even though he won like all of these counties throughout the state, he barely won. He won by 3.6%. The state's going to continue to shift to the right. Manchin, regardless of how conservative he is as a Democrat, he's not going to win it. Regardless of how conservative he is, how much he votes with Trump, he's not going to win it. And that's just the truth. He's not going to be able to win the state, regardless. And I think he'll probably lose it by a lean to likely margin, probably like 4%. So yeah, and now for the Republicans, so the Republicans are already at 50 seats and need one more seat to win. Democrats with Angus King and Bernie Sanders need one seat to win. So the final thing ultimately comes down to Texas. And I actually think it's going to be tilt blue. I think it'll be red on the presidential level, but I did a load of math, and I will have to ramble a lot of this out. But we look at this, 2018, with the blue wave, it was 3.4% to the left of where it would have been. If we look at shifts, if we look at the popular vote, in 2020, 2016, and 2018, we look at how much has shifted, and we saw how much it would have been in the middle, and then we factored in where it actually was, and we found out that the blue wave effect shifted at 3.4% to where it would have previously been. Texas, at that point, was a 7.3% Republican state. With that swing, it would have been a 3.9% Republican state. Beto O'Rourke overperformed that by 1.3%. So 2020 would, on average, be 3.9%. With Beto O'Rourke, it would be 2.6%. So that's actually exactly what he lost it by, which is kind of funny that he lost it by exactly what it would be. Pause the video right now. I don't know if you guys could hear my family yelling in the background. Anyways, so Beto O'Rourke lost it by 2.6%. However, and this is the final thing, Ted Cruz's approval rating was very high at that point. We go look at the fourth quarter of 2018. His approval rating was a net 14% approval rating. We look at now, his approval rating as of February 28th, around after the Cancun trip. That was a little less than a month ago, but still, fairly relevant. Cruz has a net negative 5% approval rating. So his approval rating, so even then, if his approval rating were still a net 14% approval rating, he would only be winning by 2.6%. With his approval rating having gone down, he would be at a now his approval rating is net negative 5%. So his approval rating would have gone down 19%, which would, I think, really change the electorate. We also saw Beto O'Rourke. I mean, like, Joe Biden was a really bad candidate. I'm just gonna say that Joe Biden was not a great candidate, or not a really bad candidate. He was among Hispanic and Latino voters, he was a really bad candidate. Beto O'Rourke was a very good candidate. So I don't necessarily know that all the shifts that we were discussing would have really have that much like impact, because Biden still did bad among conservative voters, but he also did really bad among Hispanic and Latino voters. I think it was just probably higher turnout that kind of screwed the GOP over and shifted it so much. But Biden was an awful candidate for Hispanic and Latino voters. We also factor in that Beto O'Rourke is a fairly strong candidate for these voters. I think that he ultimately narrowly picks up the state. So yeah, that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe. Tomorrow I will be filming my 2022. Actually, I might film it today and upload it tomorrow. I don't know. I don't necessarily know that I will, because things might change in the next 24 hours. But I might be or I will be uploading my 2022 Senate prediction video as of March 15th. So please go check that out. Stay tuned for that. And I'll see you all there. Bye.